Hi guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you an assassin build that I used to clear Diablo 2 with. A few weeks ago my friends got me to try Diablo 2 Resurrected, and I don't know if it was a mistake because the moment I tried that game I was immediately hooked. After the beta ended, I could not wait till the September 23rd. So I loaded up my old Diablo 2 game and I beat the game solo self-found. I'm going to show you the build that I used to beat the game with, which is an assassin build. She has high melee damage and she's generally quite tanky, mixed with the overpowered traps. I found the combat very fun and engaging skill rotations with Cloak of Shadows and Mind Blast to stun your enemies and crowd control. If you want to play a melee character for Diablo 2 Resurrected and be able to kill all your bosses by yourself and farm all content, I highly recommend you give this build a shot. If you are sick of playing a cookie cutter, Hammerdin, Paladin, or whatever. Some of the pros of this build is that you can clear all of hell solo and kill everything. She doesn't have any problems with immunities because she's actually a hybrid kick and trap assassin. With this build, you're able to reach max attack speed. You can effectively also reach max block and max resist quite easily with cheap gear. And speaking of the gear was also relatively easy to farm. It wasn't very hard to obtain, and just had to do a couple of Mephisto runs like you're seeing right now. And of course, you also get to kick stuff in the face. You're not just a caster kind of class where you die in a couple of hits. You're forced to run away every time a monster is beside you. You can actually hold your own in melee. Some of the cons is that you get slightly lower trap damage because of the points invested in the kick as well as the shadow tree. And it requires, if you want to clear player 7, player 8 content, you're going to need to farm the higher end gear like Fortitude, Infinity Rune Word, as well as Trap Grand Charms. So without further ado, let's jump right into the skill tree. Alright, so for the martial arts tree, I have Dragon Talon maxed. 1 point in Dragon Claw, 1 point in Dragon Tail, and 1 point in Dragon Flight. I think Dragon Flight is a very useful move as a melee character to have, to be able to reposition yourself in combat before you get surrounded by mobs. So it's going to be able to get you out of like sticky situations before you get put into block stun, and then you can't do anything and then you just die. So being able to position yourself, skip mobs, also reposition your mercenary or your shadow master, which I'm using in this build. It's just very useful to have 1 point in Dragonflight. For the shadow tree, I have 1 point in everything here. Most of these skills are just 1 point wonders like Cloak of Shadows and Mind Blast, just amazing form of crowd control, but don't really see a point in putting any more points in them. And Burst of Speed, 1 point. Fate, 1 point. You can also put a couple more points into Fate if you're looking to do Uber to overcome Mephisto's Conviction Aura, just to get a little more resistance. I chose to leave mine at 1 so I get more damage in the trap tree. 1 point in Venom, putting any more points in that also doesn't really make a lot of sense because the damage doesn't really scale. It's just like you can see, like from level 1 to level 2 is just like 20-30 more damage, and I think when you go up in player's difficulty, this damage isn't really going to amount to much. But the most important thing I think in this tree is the Shadow Master. I chose to get mine to level 17, and this Shadow Master is an amazing tank that's going to help you get through hell pretty easily because she's able to tank for you and buy you so much time. So really insane summon skill. I find that she is she may screw with your flow. Like some people don't like it because the Shadow Master can cast Mind Blast on whoever you're hitting, and then it might convert the enemy, and then messes with your flow. But I feel like she's just an amazing tank, and she's just gonna be really useful to get monsters off of you. And for the trap tree, I have 1 point in Fire Blast, 1 point Shockweb, 1 point Charge Bolt, a couple of points in Charge Bolt Sentry for the synergy with Lightning Sentry, and Lightning Sentry and Death Sentry is maxed out. So I think these two sentries are the strongest of the trap tree. I did a comparison with the lightning sentry as well as the fire sentry. It's clear that the lightning sentry is just a lot better range, better overall, just better damage, better skill overall. Hopefully they change this in Diablo 2 Resurrected, although I'm not sure if they're going to change much. Anyway, all my remaining points is going into charge bolt sentry. I'm currently at level 86, but yeah, I'm going to put all my remaining points in charge bolt sentry just for more lightning sentry damage. When you're pushing to clear, player 7, player 8 content, you're going to need all the help you can get from the lightning sentry. Alright, so for my gear, most of my gear is, of course, as I mentioned, this is a solo self-found build, so everything I found by myself, nothing too fancy. Crescent Moon Rune Word on a face blade. One of the things about kick assassins is that your kick damage is actually, it doesn't matter how much damage your weapon does. Your kick damage is not based on your weapon damage, so you want to look for the weapon with the highest base attack speed, because the attack speed actually affects your trapling speed as well as the speed of your kicks. So with that in mind, one of the fastest weapons in the game I think is the face blade. So I found a white face blade, used the socket recipe on it with the Horajek cube, and put in 3 sockets, and yeah, I put this rune word in because I feel like this is one of the best rune words for kick trap hybrid assassin with the 7% chance to cast level 13 static field. It's going to melt bosses. The 20% increased attack speed also helps to reach your IS breakpoints. So just from this weapon alone, I'm almost at the cap of max attack speed without having to rely on burst of speed. So you can run Fade for resistance, and that should give you a little more flexibility in your other gear. The minus 35 lightning rest actually doesn't affect your traps, but still overall very cheap. It only takes 1 rune, and the rest you can farm easily on normal counters. But you should be able to get in Hell quite easily. I found mine in the Hellforge quest, but I also had a couple drop in when I was just killing random mobs. So for the helm, I'm using the G-Phase, and yeah, this one I took a bit more time to farm. I think it took about 30-40 Mephisto runs, but I stacked. After you stack MF on your character, like maybe 200-300 MF, it's really going to increase the odds of uniques dropping. So not impossible to obtain. 35% crushing blow is just great on a helmet. There's no other helmet that gives you so much crushing blow, and it's great for the kicks in. For the amulet, I'm using the Angelic Wings set with the Angelic Halo for the huge boost attack rating. You can get these off of Nightmare Andy. I think I took about 20-30 runs, so I actually already found the amulet, and I just had to farm the ring. So yeah, not hard to obtain either. For the armor, I'm using a Duress. This one took a bit of farming because I had to find another rune. But when you reach Hell, you're going to be able to get all sorts of elite armors like Bone Weave, Archon Plates, even a Dust Shroud if you want to lower the strength requirement. But just, yeah, same thing with the blade. Just find a white one of those and do the socket recipe, and then you get access to this 15% crushing blow on an armor, which is very hard to obtain on a chest piece, and a bunch of resist, which is amazing. So I think really good armor overall. And for the shield, I think this is one of the best shields, as it's a very cheap rune word, but it's one of the best shields for this build. Reason being is that one, you have a source of cannot be frozen, and when you are frozen as an assassin, you're really gimp. Basically, your traps, you're not going to be able to cast your traps fast enough. You're not going to be able to kick fast enough. So you really need a source of cannot be frozen on your equipment. So other than Ravenfrost ring, another source of cannot be frozen is from this Rhyme rune word, which only is a shell F, so you can easily get this in early Nightmare. And all you have to do is find a 2-socket shield, and this will last you through the whole of hell. I think the only upgrade for this would be a Storm Shield, and then eventually switch to a Raven Frost for the Cannot Be Frozen. But overall, very strong shield. Other cool thing is that with the 40% faster block rate, you actually hit the block rate breakpoint for the assassin, so she actually gets a 3-frame block, which is a very fast block compared to the paladins 2-frame block with Holy Shield. And 25% MF is also very nice. For the boots, I found white Myrmidon Greaves that I used the chassis imbue reward to make it rare, and I was lucky enough to roll really well on it. But you really want a good pair of elite boots for the kick damage, because your kicks are actually dependent on, you can see that there's this attribute over there called kick damage, which tells you how much kick damage your boot does. These pair of boots, they do the most amount of damage among all the elite boots. So ideally you want this. Of course, the upgrade to this would be the unique Myrmidon Greaves, which is Gore Riders, but I wasn't able to get that in this game. So for the rings, I'm using one Dwarf Star for Fire Absorb, and the other ring is the Angelic Halo, like I said earlier. And for the belts, I'm actually using blood crafted belts and gloves. So the blood crafted belts and gloves, the recipe, I'll just put it right here. It's actually really easy to make, and all you have to do is look out for magical gloves and magical belts in hell. What I did, you can see, look at my stash, is that I've been hoarding these as I came across them, just so I'm able to roll the blood crafted belt. Basically, I think what you really want on these is, ideally you want increased attack speed on your glove to reach the IAS breakpoint, and also resistance is also always nice. And of course on the belt, you know, you want stuff like resistance, 5 stolen per hit, you want it at max at 3%, I think. And anything else is really just a bonus. And of course the main priority when you're playing in hell is to reach your resistance caps. So I have my inventory filled with grand charms of mainly resistance bonuses, and then whatever empty space I have, I put in magic find charms, just because I'm more I enjoy the loot. The loot is so important in this game, right? You can't just kill stuff, you have to get the loot. So MF charms and resistance charms, and you can see, like, after I use Fate once, I actually reach the resistance cap pretty much, other than Core, which is something I have to look out for, like more Core resistance charms. But other than that, I think overall 1k life, definitely I would like a bit more life, but this build able to clear all of hell player 1 content solo by herself, no problem. And yeah, let's jump right into some gameplay. Alright, so let's jump into the gameplay. Let's just do a build run, just show you what this build's like. So be sure to cast your summon before you engage in combat. It's just an amazing tank. And make sure to cast Fate. Oh crap, these guys are immune to lightning, so lightning sentry isn't gonna do much here. So you're gonna have to rely on your kicks here, and the corpse explosion from Death Sentry to clear the room. Also be sure to cast Cloak of Shadows, like I should have casted it earlier over there. But basically against multiple opponents, it's really a good idea to cast Cloak of Shadows, just to buy you more time to cast your traps down, and also it stops all ranged attackers from attacking, so it's really useful. So against lightning immunes, you're gonna have to rely on your kicks. Oh, what's that? Probably something crappy. Is this the Eisen Hut? Oh. Nope. And I forgot to clear my inventory for the loot. But see if we find anything good here. So always kill, I think it's always a good idea to kill the lightning immunes first. Because if your lightning sentries are targeting the lightning immunes, then you know, it's not doing much. Basically, it's not doing anything at all. So another thing I want to talk about, I think that's important to take note of when you're playing the assassin is trap placement. So for example, and these guys are so damn annoying. So for example,